Aloha, and thank you for joining our live stream. It's been a while since we've done one, so I want to take a moment to welcome all the new folks who have lasers. Welcome to the quantum wave community. We have not been doing so many live streams and trainings, online videos, etc. lately, but we're in the process of starting up a whole new program online of trainings and different video-based trainings. So stay tuned for that. Before we get started, I want to invite everyone to take a moment to drop in here to Still Point. If you're new to our community, simply take a nice big breath in. And at the top of the breath, just stop for a moment. A little space in between the in and the out. Most people live in the in and the out. If you take a breath in and you stop right at the top, you hold here for a moment. You don't want to hold the breath. Let the breath keep going. The breath kind of keeps going back and forth like it does when you sleep, yet you stay here in the space between the breath. You can do it at the top of the breath. You can do it at the bottom of the breath. Now notice when I do it, I don't really use the breath. I'm more adjusting the waves. Your body is perpetually moving in waves, moved by waves. And you can be simply moved by those waves, and or you can use those waves to modulate your condition here. In fact, I was having a nice conversation with a lovely group we're on a West Coast tour right now, with a lovely group in the Los Angeles area yesterday, or the day before, maybe it was yesterday, and I was sharing with them that the outer play here on planet Earth is really doing one of two things to you. Your condition, everyone should be very well acquainted that this condition that you have is yours. It's yours to steward and care for. And the important thing to understand about this condition is that, you see, most people go around in life and they're perpetually threaded up horizontally to all the different things: family, community, people they're around, different situations, the environment. All these things are interacting horizontally through people's chakras, through sympathy, the sympathetic nervous system, sympathy to everything going on. And the key to the process that I share with people, based on my background and experience in the yogic and mystic realms, is taking stewardship for your condition and applying very specific secrets, really. To me, they're yogic and mystic secrets, which we'll lay out here throughout the course of this live stream. And applying those secrets to take responsibility, ability to respond, to steward your physics, your condition, for whatever it is you choose to have. And this is kind of key. We have a new book coming out very soon, and it's going through its kind of final iterations, and so I'm kind of layering in some of the facets from that work here this evening. And to me, the first key piece that is so essential to understand is that our perception is an amazing gift, and that gift is literally a key to freedom. Perception affords us, in the human condition, the opportunity to govern our reality. It's very powerful. And once we kind of accept that and take responsibility for that, then we embark on a process where we can use that perception. This is key. This is kind of like having a car and understanding how to put it in gear, right? It's nice to be in the car, but if you don't understand the key physics for putting it into gear, well, you're not free to move that car around. Excuse me. Everyone take a nice big breath in. Stop right at the top of the breath. I'm going to share some things here, yet in the process really use this as an opportunity to cultivate. your condition. That's what I do in every moment. Every moment I'm saying, oh, okay, this is nice. And so once we understand we have this key to freedom, which is our perception, then we have to, that's like having the car. Then we have to understand, okay, well, how do we steward that gift of perception, that key, freedom key. And this is, to me, so important when it comes to learning, whether children, whether anyone. To me, that learning learning is not even the right word because it's so associated with the brain. To me, scratch that. The key to using perception is understanding the simple sequence of how we interact with different things, different structures, really. There's all these different structures, from electrons to atoms, electrons, organs, the body, the planet, the star, the cosmos, the beyond. All of these consciousness, all these are different structures, and if we understand how to flow and navigate through these different structures, then we truly have freedom. And not freedom, that's the kind of freedom that is so worn from the last age or season of, there's some embodied situation or personality, and freedom is like this liberation or nirvana or something. That's all great, and yet that's not really what I'm referring to here. What I'm referring to is freedom as consciousness to flow through structures and always retain natural integrity, coherence, and essence. So once we come to terms with this sacred responsibility of perception, then we can jump in whatever situation you want to address, whether it's learning how to do math, whether it's dealing with a knee injury or some other health situation you're dealing with, whether it's a situation around relationships and not having great relationships, or whether it's around manifestation and having more resources, whether it's around understanding your own condition. It doesn't matter what the thing is. The key is to have a reference of that situation. This is the process, to me, the true process of learning and growing. You set the reference. Oh, okay, you have an injury or situation. Well, once you set the reference, then you apply your resources to, well, how can I change the physics of that situation? And if you don't have all the resources, then you go find someone who maybe does that you trust and can bring in some of those more resources to apply to change the physics. And then the next step is, once you start applying those resources, well, then you kind of check in to see, okay, well, what's happening with the physics? Does it feel like it's improving? Or does it feel like it's getting worse? And then you modulate, and if you don't see the results and movement towards where you're going, then you apply new resources. And if you do, then you keep checking in until you say, oh, that situation, that knee's no longer a problem. Now it's not a problem. So you feel good, and you've gone through that. If it doesn't, then you keep resetting and trying things until you bring it to a place where the reference is now unwound. Once you understand that sequence and understand how to use resources, apply resources, and or find new resources to situations and modulate and assess, you become naturally a steward for helping things to progress in their range of experience and expression. That's really what all this work that I share is about. All of this, whether it's using lasers. Lasers are a way that I found to use physics of lasers, of energy, of light, photons, to enhance electrons, to enhance ATP in the cell, to use different wavelengths to reach different tissue, to induce scalar waves, to dissolve cell memory and relax tissue to open up and dissolve, to the still point process, which is the same. Still point is a process of using your perception to neutralize. And this is what I was sharing back to what I was sharing. Sorry, I diverged a little. What I was sharing with some folks in Los Angeles, which is that most of the things, your condition here. So by the way, I just shared some secrets. Those are some very key, important secrets, which are no longer secrets, technically. So your field, your condition, is being affected perpetually by things outside of you, by the relativity outside of your own condition. And mostly, that relativity is doing one or two things in terms of your wave dynamics and structure. Either that outer phenomena is having the effect of enhancing your waves to go faster, your breath, your pulse, your cranial rhythm, which is stress, fight or flight, sympathy, or situations are inducing your waves to go slower, which is what when I develop products, when I work with people, I'm always looking at waves. To me, this is a whole play of waves. All this language and stuff is really secondary. It's waves, and if you understand that differentiation, so basically you have three things going on. You have positive contraction, you have negative unwinding, where your waves start to go like this. If you start to make conscious choices, whether it's the foods you eat or the things you do or the people you're around or the kind of work you do or where you live or whatever it is, the practices you're involved in, if you make choices that affect your condition by unraveling your wave structure, it can completely change your life. And not only your physical life, but subsequently your condition of being, which to me is really, in the last stage it was big body, personality. To me, this new season is about arrival and experience of being, is who we are. We don't come from past, we come from the future, which isn't really future, it's being. So in the third situation, the third state is neutral, still point. So the more your waves unwind, eventually, breath and another breath, and eventually they dissipate. In yogis, they call it a breathless state. The more you practice meditation and deep spiritual practice, real spiritual practice, you naturally arrive in this condition. I never really set out and said, oh, I got to do still point. Still point became a natural state of my condition based on the life experiences that led me to arrive there. And this is so key because there are three things in this cosmos, really. There's positive, there's negative, and neutral, which, by the way, is the scalar situation. Scalar, what is scalar? It's a combination of three things: positive, negative, in perfect phase symmetry. When that happens, you have neutral, scalar. The scalar wave has those three things: positive, negative, neutrality, all woven in one experience. And not only is that scalar phenomena all around us, the entire universe is woven of scalar energy, prana, chi, same thing, scalar. It's also central in our condition. The medical symbol is a scalar wave of energy up the spine. And it's also the wave, another key from our experience, mystic yogic key, what we put in the lasers. The scalar waves we put in the lasers. Why? Because they induce. In other words, in your life, if waves are making you stressed, right? If you're having a lot of stress, if you're having a lot of, most likely your wave structure is being agitated from something in your condition, in your relativity around you. And that happened to you at some point, something that happened in the present, something. And the key to that is acquiescing and inducing. It's like driving the car. If you don't want to keep driving against the wall, right? So you flip it in reverse and you back it out a little bit, and then you find a good place and you put it in neutral. Well, same thing. If your body's rammed up like this, and you can check in and say, well, hey, what's going on in my life right now? You pull back, unwind, and eventually reset back in to still point. Still point is the neutral state, the scalar state. Can't say enough. Understanding this and how this all connects. In the technology, the scalar waves, the still point condition, understanding this is really, it's helpful. It's not really, it's not totally necessary. If you experience it, you don't really need to understand it. But it can be helpful in terms of if it's something you want to apply in your life, setting the reference and then digging in and starting to move in that fashion. And that's what a lot of the work that we'll be sharing soon, the new books, online training, are all designed to be a resource for this program. All right, Go ahead if you have a laser and turn it on. You can pick either the Okay, for new folks, I want to go through a really quick primer for new folks. If you have laser, go ahead, turn it on. Put it on the first program, unwind. This is how I call this still point response. Everyone take another breath in first. Everyone take a nice big breath in. And stop right at the top, space between the breath. And just hold for a moment. Let the breath keep going, yet you stay here in the space between the breath. You rest here. Now go ahead, turn laser on, put it on unwind. This is how I pick which program. Many people in our network do this. I'm simply putting the unwind on my hand. And all I want you to do, put it in your hand. This is particularly important for new folks. Say, for example, you're new with the laser and you've been having back pain. Well, you can just randomly put on any program and put it on the back pain. A lot of people do that, and it works really good. That's a great way to do it, actually. I often do that. If I'm tired, I just turn it on, I pick one, I put it on, and it usually feels good. Or you can, and again, this goes right to that learning process we were discussing. Reference, you have back pain, right? Now you want to apply resources. Well, we're going to try some different resources, some different programs. And then we're going to check in. How does the tissue respond? How does your nervous system respond? Well, on unwind, for me right now, no big response. It feels okay, but it's not like I'm going into still point. It's not like I've flipped it back and I'm now going back into neutral. I'm a little bit, so I'm going down one. Go down one to quantum. As soon as I put quantum on, my body totally dropped into neutral. How could I tell? Easy. I took a breath. I took a sigh. My eyes I just totally dissolved, dropped in to still point. That's how I pick a program. It takes 2 seconds. Try one. By the way, you're all experts at this. This shouldn't sound too technical or complicated. It's the same thing when you pick a TV, right? You go, no, oh, I like that. That's good. Why? You feel good. You relax. You breathe. You smile. That response, you all have this response. Just apply it to the laser. All right, great. So that's how we pick a program. So let's do real quick protocol. Let's for folks that are new, let's do the adrenal glands. Adrenals are halfway up the body on either side of the spine. Go ahead and put the laser directly on it. You might want to go back to unwind. I usually start this protocol on unwind. You might feel good on quantum. You might want to pick another one. Turn it on for a moment, check in, see how it feels. Feels good for me. I can tell right away I'm kind of going like, my body kind of went like this and started going. The way I could tell it was good for me is there was a change in waves. I'm always looking for change in wave condition. My background's in cranial sacral therapy, and so waves to me are so key. When I'm in my own condition, I'm looking for, okay. And what I felt was my body kind of went in like this, and then it kind of held, and then it started to go like this, very gently. It wasn't like big waves, but it was kind of like waves that I could tell pressure was being relieved. The best way for me to describe the feeling, now we're going to move faster because I want to do a bunch of things here, and we had a few logistic issues here, so it's late here where we're doing this. So I want to be sensitive to our team here. So I just moved to the other adrenal, and the best way I can qualify what this feels like is it's kind of like a tire. If a tire has too much pressure, and you go up to that tire, you know it's real rough, it's bumping into stuff. You put your finger on that little nozzle or whatever on the nozzle, and it goes shh. When I'm in an unwind, it feels like that. It feels like this pressure that's been kind of cooking up just starts to feel. It's very subtle, and it's kind of going like this, and I can feel it. And in the same way that when that tire equalizes, when it releases the excess pressure and equalizes between the internal and the external air pressure, that's when it stops. On the same way, when you unwind, I just unwound there. So I just unwound. I kind of went right like this, and those points are good for me right now. Now I'm going to go down to the tailbone, the sacrum and tailbone, and I changed program. I went on to wave. You may want to go on to wave. You might not. You might want to pick a different one. Once again, for me, I put on wave, and right away I got kind of blissed out. I smiled. You want to notice little things. You want to notice very little subtle things. I tell you, a lot of people are over-focused on news, on the attention totally in what's going on with people around them, or you want to pull your attention back from that stuff. Not only your energy. I often discuss bringing your energy back and holding your condition. So, for me, one of the most important secrets that you learn from yogis, real yogis and mystics, is going vertical. Keeping your attention vertical. So most people on planet Earth keep their attention horizontal. Sympathy. Yogis say, no. You want to go vertical. Parasympathy, beyond sympathy. And there's one key to going parasympathy. There is one totally amazing key. Secret key to going parasympathetic and going vertical. And it's called still point. As soon as you start to cultivate, I'm not only dropping into still point. The more you drop into still point and decompress dimensionally from the dimensional state of the last age, the more you decompress. Like baby, right? Baby comes here, it's not compressed, it's totally open. It's like this. Yogi's totally open. Once you dimensionally decompress, this field opens, this still point field opens. When you are in still point and you stay here, you can't get horizontal with things. It's like you're demagnetized. So things that want to go between chakras and polarize you and trip you up and drama play and whatever, you are no longer relativized towards that. You're like, oh no, it's okay, no. You have to do whatever, a little bit of whatever, but you retain your condition here. And in that process of practicing still point, fluffing open your field, your field, then the more that happens and you stay in this state of being neutral, your attention, your yogis call withdrawal of the sensory currents, where the currents that for most people come down the body and out start to reverse. And this is the medical symbol. This is the essence of every ancient tradition on the planet. The same scalar medical symbol, scalar wave. It's when the positive and negative come back together. See, when people's attention is coming down the body and out, they're depolarized. So they're all positive or all negative, and so that's creating a vortice flow out. And then it's going around and wanting to play out with the opposite everywhere around. And so what we're referring to here is balancing. The more you hold neutral starts to say, oh, let's balance positive, negative. We don't want to be hinged up one way or the other. As that happens, the positive, negative both start to interact. As that happens, it induces this flow where the energy sensory currents start to flow up gently up the spine. Scalar energy flowing up the spine, and then ultimately opening up the glands in the cranium. I did the sacrum, which, by the way, the adrenals are so good. Anyone who's living with a lot of adrenaline, cortisol, and perpetual adrenal entrainment, it's very hard to come out of the polarized situation into the neutral condition, still point, the neutral condition. So doing the adrenals, if you have our laser and you're dealing with any health conditions, by the way, I'm on Activate. I just put Activate here for a moment. It feels so darn good. I don't even have anything to say. That's how good it feels. But what I would, so if you have our laser and you have any issues at all, injuries, emotions, stress. You laser at your adrenals once or twice a day. It can change your life. Compressing your adrenals and de-entraining your adrenals can change your life. All right. So that's really, really important, particularly with anyone with migraines, sleep situations, chronic pain, depression, aging, and just about any other health condition. Adrenals. Adrenaline is your body's stress mechanism. If waves are making you stressed, you release adrenaline. And adrenaline shuts down most of your body systems, except your fight or flight system, which makes you run from things. Stress. So really, really important to decompress adrenals so your other glands and other key bodily systems and plexuses can integrate and stay open and stay coordinating your larger condition of health. Second key thing I mentioned was the sacrum. I'm going to now work for a moment over the pubic bone. You can do either. You can do directly over the tailbone, sacral area, tailbone at the base of the spine, or over the pubic bone. This is the kind of foundational foundation for your entire structure. So it's key. And so many people's sacrum, tailbone, is either tight to one side, tucked under, or not, or really, really open and loose. And so what we want to do is we want to unravel that until we get it back into play where we don't want it too tight, we don't want it too loose, we want it right in the middle so it can gently pulse along with the waves of the cerebral spinal fluid, the craniosacral rhythm, so it can move. When it moves, the sacrum sends big nerve trunks down into the legs, nerve conduction, really good for anyone with knee injuries. I'm going to switch for one moment to unity over the pubic bone. Really good for anyone with chronic back pain, anyone with any kind of musculoskeletal issues, neuropathy, sciatica, scoliosis, anyone dealing with pelvic situations, anyone dealing with sexual health situations, digestive situations. I used to joke a lot, anyone dealing with not sure you came to the right planet situations. Any situations, emotional situations, security situations, financial situations, relationship situations. The sacrum, if it's not relaxed and at ease, is basically going to make your physical condition unstable. So making sure it's unwind. It's just like your emergency brake. If it's locked up, which it is in such a high percent of people, it's like going around with your car with your emergency brake on. Everyone's done that, right? It doesn't go that well, and it's kind of jerky, and it's not a smooth ride. You'd never do that day in, day out, would you? No, probably not. Mm-hmm. All right, that's sacrum. That feels great. I could stay here for a while over the pubic bone. In fact, it's good to do the sacrum first. The sacrum's the larger area at the bottom of the spine, and then the tailbone's the very small part, the coccyx tailbone. The pubic bone is great to do after you do the sacrum. In cranial work, when you release the pubic bone, often the tailbone drops down. Coccyx tailbone drops down because it's kind of like a clamshell. It's kind of pulled. Well, when that happens, when the pubic bone relaxes and the coccyx tailbone drops down, the whole pelvic floor relaxes. The sciatica relaxes. There's so many great areas that just open. Iliopsoas relaxes. Really good for anyone with any kind of internal kind of situations going on. Okay, third key area is the occipital ridge. This is another gem of an area. These are gems. This protocol, I tell you, this protocol is it's an amazing protocol. We were at a large expo in Los Angeles this past weekend, and I can't tell you how many people came up to me that have the laser in Los Angeles. I couldn't walk 10 feet in that building. Big building. I couldn't walk 10 feet without someone coming up to me and saying, "Hey, I love your laser. I have your laser." It was fantastic. To all the people who said that to me, I totally appreciate it. I appreciated the stories you shared. I heard some amazing stories and sharing of authentic experiences. That, to me, is what this is all about. And for folks that are new, one of the key things, I'm actually going to go back to unwind here. I could just tell for me right now. Unwind is really good for me. This is the occipital ridge. It's the ridge line between the ears and the back. And it's so important in the cranial osteopathic world because it's where the vagus nerve slips out of the cranium. The vagus nerve is your key parasympathetic nerve. It's called vagus. Vagus means wanderer. It wanders all over the body and governs your breathing. It basically governs everything your body does without you being involved. Breathing, digestion, circulation, elimination, organ functions, heart, circulation. It literally does everything. It's like the symphony conductor. In any event, for a lot of people, when they get stressed, the TMJ gets tight. And when the TMJ gets tight, it clamps the occipital ridge in the back, kind of like a hinge in a door. And when that happens, when people get stressed, one of the first things that can happen is the vagus nerve gets compressed and tight. Which shuts down, stress shuts down digestion, it shuts down the heart. So one of the key things I tell everyone, this protocol every day, do adrenals, 5-10 minutes, do your sacrum tailbone, do your occipital ridge. Keeping these three areas relaxed and at ease will help with so many situations, and health situations. And in other words, it'll help with so many different things in your body that you want to reverse. The compression is just waves that get compressed. And setting up your physiology in a way where it's supporting your body moving into dissolution and neutrality is key. If these things are not in a unwound place, it's very hard. It's almost impossible to hold neutrality. If your adrenals are always going adrenaline, cortisol, if your tailbone's locked up, if your occipital ridge is all clamped up, well, how are you going to, in other words, unravel? Everyone take a nice big breath in. Stop right at the top of the breath, or at the bottom, or you can do without using the breath at all. If you all weren't here, I'd be simply well, it's very hard to hold this state if your adrenals are going like this, kicking at you, adrenaline, cortisol, or if your cranium is like this and the vagus nerve is like this. Well, how are you going to induce your waves to bring you back here to this still point field in a neutral state? So this is why these three places are so key: adrenals, sacrum, tailbone, pubic bone, and occipital ridge. In fact, let's do one more place. I'm going to just do the temples for one moment. The temples right here are the fourth place, kind of connected to the occipital ridge. Huge. This is such an important place. You can do this on, I'm on Activate right now. I often do it on Unity or on Wind or Wave. Doesn't matter that much. Just simply to put one of them on and just check in. See if you notice your waves. By the way, for new folks and anyone who's been using laser for a while, as you get more acclimated to noticing, you put one on and you feel your body start to go like this, that's your body going into still point response. But once you understand the physics of how to use technology or your own perception in still point to dissolve waves back into neutrality, well then, now you dig in on any issue you have, whether it's a ankle situation, whether it's a organ situation, digestion, your brain, your whole condition. Doesn't matter what the situation is. Once you understand how to take something that's like this and invite those waves to say, hey, let's unwind a little bit. Let's dissolve. Well, then, now your task, and again, this goes right back to that second key secret of using your perception to grow things, to learn, to grow. Well, now you dig in and you go every day, and you maybe once a day, twice a day, you take that knee and you unwind it until it resets back in neutral, and then you go and you do it again the next day. I tell you, I share this. By the way, this is key because inside your cranium is a sphenoid. It's shaped like a butterfly. It moves. It kind of goes like this. It's called the sphenoid. It's a beautiful part of the anatomy. And it's important because so many people have cranial compression and it locks up the sphenoid, so the sphenoid doesn't move so good. When the sphenoid's relaxed, in cranial work you can feel it. It moves like this. It's kind of like an accordion. It's a beautiful, and the key to it, when it vibrates, when it moves gently, the pineal and pituitary kind of rest right on the sphenoid. So they're getting this amazing, from the yogic perspective, the glands resonate with meditation is a process of quieting, cessating all these outer things, all this association to the body, to emotions, to the thoughts, to the psyche, all these different things that are oscillating in different states, people, groups, all these things, all your things you own, they all have an oscillation. Well, meditation is saying to those things, well, hold on, I've been with you all day, now we're going to take a moment here and quiet until your energy comes in, and not only from the outer things, it's also about doing it from your own emotional state. That's still, to the yogi mystic, that's outer. Or to your psyche, to your thoughts. That's still outer to the condition, the intrinsic condition of being and consciousness. And so the practice of withdrawing from all those associations and then attuning the energy so it starts to naturally return to its source instead of always going out in like a vase with holes, going out through the chakras and senses, all these things. Well, withdrawing that, well, guess what? At a certain point when there's equipoise, yogis, mystics say that sphenoid vibrates to the neuroacoustics of the cosmos, the music of the spheres, and it tunes, and as it tunes like an instrument, it starts to release different compounds, and those compounds have very profound, subtle, and not only do yogis, mystics discuss this. Carl Jung it was involved in a book, The Secret of the Golden Flower, which refers to the secret of the golden flower, this stuff. In India they call it Amrita. Western traditions, mythology calls it fountain of youth. There's references to it in India. It's called ambrosia. There's references to this all around the planet. Notice there, I took a moment. I dropped in the still point. Everyone go ahead, drop in the still point. Now, your life has a lot of things coming at you. And I'm really big into, and I tell people this at our seminars, our retreats, I'm really big into leveraging the opportunities in your life when there's a chance to pull back and bring your attention here. Yogis, mystics refer to it as being in seclusion, retreat, seclusion. And a lot of us here in the Western world, we don't really have that opportunity, but you can cultivate it in little ways throughout your day of pulling your attention back, like in dropping into still point for a moment. You're doing something's not going right. You're doing something. You're waiting in the car for someone. Don't always have your attention going out. That'd be like having your car always in going forward. Well, you can't always go forward. Otherwise, you're going to go to park and you're going to run something over, run another car over. You got to be able to use the full range, positive, negative, neutrality. So practice a little bit when you can, pulling it back and dropping in. That was a great moment for me right there a moment ago. I have been going at it all day, and this went longer. It just gave me some juice. So use that, leverage that in your life. Look at the ways you can leverage, and it feels good. You're feeling, when you're in still point, you're charging up with the universe, with the cosmos. All right, I just plugged in the violet probe. You can do this with any probe if you have the red one. Doesn't matter which one you want to do. I'm going to do one of my favorite protocols. As a reference, so far we showed how to find still point response with the laser. We then went through how to take one area. Once you can understand how to do that, you can apply it over a shoulder, over an organ, over a knee, and simply invite that area to unwind and dissolve. To do it for a little while and it feels good, and then you're not sure you feel anything, pick a different program, do a little more. Often after I do unwind on an area, then I switch to quantum. Then maybe I'll go to activate. Then I'll go to unity, maybe wave. Usually on one of those, my body's going into, usually on all of them, my body goes into. Now we did the unwind protocol. Adrenals first, then the sacrum, tailbone, pubic bone, then the occipital ridge and sphenoid. That is a key protocol for any situation you're dealing with, because it sets up your cranial glandular system to be moving in the direction of dissolution and the neutral condition. All right, last protocol I want to show you real here is how to laser. I laser a lot with the probes up around here. Inside the nose, really good. If you ever feel like you're losing energy or coming down with a little something or dealing with sinuses or anything, the red probe on quantum or activate right in the nose is really, really powerful. If you want to do a little bit more from a alchemy perspective, it's really powerful because it goes right into the pineal and pituitary glands. And there's big nadis that connect here. I often point right inside. This is, I tell you, this is one of my favorite protocols. You'll notice if you do this, I'm on Unity right now with the violet probe. There's studies, I saw some studies online a while back that lasering with 5 milliwatt red lasers inside the nose did significant purification of the blood. It oxygenated and purified the blood. In fact, there was a company that made two little 5 milliwatt lasers you put in your nose as a blood purification protocol. This is a 100 milliwatt laser, by the way. I just changed to activate for a moment. Give me a little kick here before I drift off. Back to the cosmos. Feels so good. I tell you, you keep your glands nice and open, give you a very different perspective and experience of your experience here, of your reality here. So many people have been entrained. Glands work through entrainment, and many people here have been entrained to living in the body and in the condition of the personality, the emotions and thoughts. And it's not that exciting of a condition. It's a lot of regurgitation from stuff that already happened, which gets old. So this practice, everyone take a moment, drop in a still point, is about sustaining that whole trip and saying, well, hold on here. I always say, if you can come from the past, you've got to be able to come from the future. From a physics perspective, it's two sides of the same thing. So we've been coming, last days came from the past, so that's enough. We had that. That was a nice trip. Reset. Now let's come from the future, which isn't really future. It's being. It's who we are. Okay, I'm on the violet probe. I'm going to now go around the outside of my body and field. You know, in a dark room, you can see this. Like, you can't see in light so good, but in a dark room, you can see this 30, 40 feet away. So when you go around, and when you feel a place, like right there, I was going around real slow. The key to this is go slow. As I was going right here, in this area right here, I felt like, my body. I'm always looking when I'm lasering. When do I feel my body take a shift, take a breath? When I feel that, I'm like, something good is happening here. I'm going deeper into neutrality's opening up. Feels really good. I go underneath the body. I tell you, a lot of people hold more issues. Healers, psychics, yogis say people have more blockages and holes in their field, issues in their field, cords connecting them, holes in their field than they have issues in their body. Yet everyone's so body focused that no one addresses the field. I laser the field every day. I laser. I want to make sure I don't have any thing going on. Right here, again, I stopped right here. My body's dropping into still point. I tell you, whatever you're working on with the laser, if you're working on your digestion, the key is do short sessions once, twice. The more often you unwind the knee or a shoulder, then you come back and do it again. If you really unwind it, then you come back and unwind it again. Then come back and unwind it again. Usually a week, 2 weeks, that tissue is going to start to say, hey, we can be tense or we can be relaxed. You're giving it an option. You're retraining it. Well, in addition to working on whatever issues are going on in your life, if you also keep the unwind protocol, your key anatomy for the yogic experience unwound, adrenals, sacrum, tailbone, occipital ridge, sphenoid, if those areas stay unwound, and if you also clear your field once, twice a day, I tell you, you're going to start leveraging in the direction of dissolution and neutrality. That's the keys. You want to start moving in the direction. The Wi-Fi really helps. Put the same thing with the Wi-Fi, right? You put it on, you go try this one, you try this one. You find the one where your body starts to take a breath, take a sigh. When you find that one, just keep it on for a while. Maybe later in the day, come back. And the same thing that applies here. If you are using the laser on an area and you're inviting it to unwind, great. Well, the same thing. Wi-Fi, you're just using the Wi-Fi. It's not a laser. It sends scalar waves throughout space. If you're using the Wi-Fi in your home, you're doing the same thing to your entire field. It works for like 3/4 of a mile. You're saying to your whole area, hey, we're going to condition this space, this area to be dissolving and moving towards neutrality instead of compressing and moving towards stress. It's not too, hard of a choice if you want to be at ease. For still point, same thing. The more you cultivate, everyone take another nice big breath in. Stop right here. Hold here for a moment. When you do still point, it's literally, this is powerful. You start cultivating your attention, your field, and the space around you. You'd be amazed. Everyone take one moment here. We're going to finish up with one nice still point process. Just hold right here in still point. So here's a key thing. I call this is how to open up your still point field. So once you drop into still point, the next thing is you kind of hold it a little bit. Kind of hold it like, kind of like if you're filling up your air in your car tire. Go to one side, shh. Other side, if you hold that nozzle right on the nozzle there, right, with care, it starts to fill in. So still point's the same, right? Your breath. Well, hold the breath. Hold it right here. As I'm doing it, I'm feeling my field fill in, kind of like the tire fills in. I'm just holding it. I can feel this because you're now becoming neutral. When you become neutral, you're now resonating to the vast ocean of neutral scalar energy. So it's naturally starting to permeate and fill you. Right there, I took a breath, a sigh, and I just dropped in still point. So literally, see if you notice this, because now my field shifted. My field is now open. I'm not holding still point anymore. I was holding still point a moment ago. Now I'm being held in still point. Very subtle thing, very slight, but very powerful. If you understand that every day when you drop in still point. Now when you drop into still point, people often say to me, oh, they feel still point so strong when they come to a retreat or they come to our event or what have you. And then they go home and they don't feel it so good. And I say, why? Well, this is why. It's one thing to drop into still point. That's just the start point. The next thing is to be able to hold it so you actually, so when you do this process right here that I'm showing you, you're charging up. It's like charging your cell phone battery. It's like charging your battery. Well, you do this 2, 3, 4 occasions a day. Eventually, your battery is going to start to say, hey, I can hold this. This can stay open for me. Or if you have some stress, then you open it up. It's not just dropping into it. Dropping in is one thing. Opening it up and practicing moving through life from this state of being neutral. Let's do one last thing. Everyone envision a laser saber from those movie kind of things, and just envision going around the outside of your field. This is another really important. This is like still point field clearing, right? As you go around, just envision cutting any cords, any blockages, any holes, any cords with people. Could be family, could be friends, could be people that aren't even around anymore. And go real slow. Don't try to pull them up. Just see who shows up. When someone shows up, that's kind of a good one. You'll feel it. Like I just dropped in still point, and my body started like going. Keep going until you feel like my condition dropped in still point. So for me, that process is done for me. I cleared the thing that. Two practices. Those are. I shared a couple of protocols, 2 or 3 laser protocols, 2 still point practices. Really important. Let's go through them again. It's not the dropping in. We've done lots. Charging up your still point field. 1 practice. What you have to do at least now, you have to practice it if you can. And the second one is clearing your still point field. When I first learned how to clear the still point field, I would go sit down for like 15, 20 minutes and clear stuff. I cleared stuff going all the way back. I mean, you don't want to push it too hard. Just see what naturally comes up and do the work. Because so many people are connected to other people through the chakras, through cords. And then they're trying to figure out, well, why can't they hold still point? Or why aren't they manifesting what they want? Or why? Well, if you're running other people's energy all day long, it's really hard to have it's like going in a rowboat with someone else and you're trying to go across the shore and they're spinning around in circles and liking that. It's really hard to go a set course on your journey when you got a lot of other people who might have no interest in your destiny. So this is about owning your condition so you can set course. Set sail for you, for your destiny, for your journey.